talking yet. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to talk yet.
Okay, Mayor,
Shall we? Let's get the show on the road. Good morning. I'd like to welcome County Commissioner Charles Kenny, County Segregant Carabio Cordes, County Clerk Nancy Pickin, from the Congresswoman Bonnie Watson's office, Deputy Staff Jordan Lewis. I also like to welcome Assemblyman Gruberchuk, Assemblyman Daniel, I'm sorry, can I pronounce this? Assemblyman Senator Dignan, and Senator Bremnick. Also, I'd like to welcome Speaker Colgan, and I also like to welcome the new South River Council, and I also like to welcome all law enforcement, from the New Jersey State Troopers to the Washington, D.C. police officers in the South River Police Department. Welcome. Today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. We come together to honor a calling, one rooted in service, courage, and unwavering commitment to protect others. We are gathered today in memory of Officer Brian Sicknick, a son of South River, a dedicated law enforcement officer, and a national hero. Officer Sicknick chose a life of service knowing the risks and demands that came with it. Like so many law enforcement, he answered that call with integrity, resolve, and quite strength. His service reminds us that the safety we often take for granted exists because others are willing to stand in harm's way. Brian Sicknick was not just a name known across the country. He was one of our own. He grew up here, shaped by this community, and carried the values of South River: hard work, responsibility, and a respect for others, into the service to our nation. Law enforcement officers do not take this oath lightly. They promise to uphold the law, defend the institutions, and protect our communities, often under circumstances that are unpredictable and dangerous. Officer Sicknick honored that oath. His sacrifice stands as a solemn reminder of risks faced by those who serve. We also recognize behind that badge is a human being, someone with a family waiting at home, sharing in the pride, the worry, and the sacrifice. Today, we honor not only officers, but their families as well, whose support makes their service possible. It is especially meaningful that we mark this day with a memorial garden dedicated to Officer Brian Sicknick. This space will serve as a place of reflection and remembrance, a lasting tribute to his bravery and sacrifice. For generations to come, it will remind us that a young man from South River answered the call of service, and that his legacy lives on here at home. At this time, I ask that we take a moment of silence to honor Officer Brian Sicknick and all law enforcement officers who have given their lives in the line of duty. Thank you. As mayor of South River, on the behalf of the entire community, I extend our deepest gratitude to our law enforcement officers, past and present, who work each day to keep our community safe. Your service matters, your sacrifice matters, and our dedication deeply appreciated. May Officer Brian Sicknick's memory be a blessing. May his courage continue to inspire, and may his memorial garden stand as a lasting symbol of our gratitude and respect. It is now my honor to introduce the Governor of the State of New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy, who will continue these reflections on sacrifice, service, and enduring legacy of Officer Brian Sicknick. Please join me in welcoming Governor Phil Murphy.
Mayor, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Well said, all. Good morning, everyone. On this beautiful, as I say, this is a day the Lord made. Mayor, thank you. Thank you for your inspiring words, for your gracious introduction, and good morning, everyone. I, too, am honored to be with you today on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day to commemorate the life and service of United States Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, as the New Jersey State Police Honor Guard lays a wreath in a few moments in his memory. We're joined most importantly this morning by a number of members of the Sicknick family, including Brian's mom and dad, Gladys and Chuck, his brother Craig and wife Nicole, his brother Ken, who we're going to hear from in a few minutes, and his wife Susan, their daughter Kayla. Is it Aria? Yes. And precious Aria, who's making her presence known. And to all of you, it's an honor to be with you today. And to each one of you, thank you for being here, and God bless you all, especially members of law enforcement. No words can ease the pain of Brian's loss, but I hope you feel in this moment how much he is loved and revered by all of us in New Jersey. I also want to thank Ellen Chopp. Ellen, where are you? Right in front of me. God bless you. A close friend of Gladys's and a teacher at South River High School, who alongside her students, I'm told especially to give Diana Aleto a shout out, who's also right in front of me, built this beautiful garden which stands as a living and growing tribute to Brian. I also want to give a shout out to your principal, Jamie Kennard. Is Jamie here? Jamie's in the back, hiding in the middle there. I also want to acknowledge the veterans and veteran advocates with us today. Brian not only was a member of law enforcement, but he served his country, as well as the leaders, local, mayor to you and members of council, to the Middlesex County team, to the legislators who are with us today, and notably, and I think this is a very important point to note and underscore, it is a bipartisan group of elected officials, and I think that we should wear always, particularly as it relates to law enforcement and our veterans, as a badge of honor. Again, I want to acknowledge all the members here today of the law enforcement community, including especially the guy behind me, who was the acting superintendent of the New Jersey State Police, Lieutenant Colonel Dave Sorotowicz. I also am told and see Wayne Blanchard and his colleagues are with us today. So to all of our fellow troopers in uniform and in plain clothes, bless you, honored to have you, and more broadly to all members of law enforcement, and in particular to the U.S. Capitol Police colleagues, former colleagues of Brian's, Sergeant Jeff Brodeur and Private Edita Zach. To each and every one of you, thank you. So thank you all, not just for being here to honor Brian, but for defending the rule of law and protecting your communities with the same unwavering devotion to public service that he exemplified. It is especially meaningful to be here in South River, the town that raised Brian, his brothers, and his father. Growing up here, Brian dreamed of being a police officer. Fresh out of high school, he enlisted in the New Jersey Air National Guard, as I alluded to, and served overseas in Saudi Arabia and Kyrgyzstan, ultimately retiring as a staff sergeant. For anyone else, that level of service would have been admirable in its own right, but he did not stop there. After serving in the Guard, he stepped up once again and became a law enforcement officer. For a man of his courage, it was a true calling. He wanted to protect people and to place himself between them on the one hand and harm on the other. And on January 6, 2021, and so many days before that, Brian did exactly that. For hours, he defended the citadel of American democracy on one of the darkest days in our history. Because of law enforcement officers like Brian, people inside the Capitol that day remained safe. And our elected officials, again from both sides of the aisle, were able to carry out a sacred democratic tradition that has endured for more than 2 centuries. Brian gave everything he had to uphold the oath he took to protect the Constitution. And his courage and dedication continue to inspire us today, reminding us that honoring his legacy means leading with integrity and defending the values he lived and gave everything to protect. In that spirit and in honor of Brian's valor and sacrifice, I have signed a joint resolution designating July 30th, his birthday, as Brian's Sicknick Day in New Jersey. And I also want to thank the legislators who got that to my desk. Each year we will pause to remember him, the example he set, and the values that he lived by. He was a man who until the very end, embodied the selfless spirit of his hometown, as well as our proud New Jersey values. In turn, this garden reflects South River's enduring commitment to Brian. It was built and cared for by students in this community, young people who chose to honor Brian by giving us all a place to remember him. It's a garden, Gladys, I'm told that you visit often on your walks, a quiet space created with thought, care, and love. From the students who built this garden to the family and friends who carry his memory forward, Brian's legacy endures. It lives on in every act of service, every moment of courage, and every heart he touched. And by the way, given that it's Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, suggestion to all of us, if you see someone, a member of law enforcement, go up to them today and say thank you for protecting and serving every single day. So today, we remember more than a life taken too soon. We remember a life lived with purpose, with courage, and with love. We remember a son of South River who stood up for all of us in a community that will always stand for him. God bless you all. God bless the memory of Officer Brian Sicknick. And God bless every single member of law enforcement who answers the call to serve and protect every single day. With that, it is my great honor to ask Brian's brother Ken to come on up and say a few words on behalf of the family. Ken?
Thank you for all being here today. Thank you from my family, to my family's friends, Brian's friends and colleagues, United States Capitol Police Sergeant Jeff Broder, Officer Adita Zach, and in particular Brian's hometown of South River, and Governor Murphy. These past 5 years have been very difficult for myself and my family. However, in moments like this, help ease the pain and give solace that my brother Brian will be remembered as a hero. Societies can choose to remember and commemorate difficult events through storytelling, through education, and through memorialization. Storytelling. In the past 5 years, there have been many stories regarding the events of January 6, 2021. Some noble, some uplifting, and some, I believe, there are not anywhere enough stories about the heroes of that day. The U.S. Capitol Police, the Washington, D.C. Metro Police, and in particular, Private First Class Officer Brian David Sicknick. Brian could be described as a compassionate, private, loyal. The compassion was largely directed toward our animal friends. Brian rescued and cared for dachshunds and loved every dog that he rescued. When Brian died, his elderly blind dog, named Sparky, sadly would sit by his slippers waiting for him to come home. Brian's dream was to be a canine officer, I understand he was near the top of the list to be next in line to be a K-9 officer, a dream that he will not ever realize. Brian was loyal to both family and friends. If Brian let you into a circle, you knew he would always have your back, no matter what. And to get a small picture of Brian's steadfastness, my brothers and Brian and myself would occasionally work as a helper for my dad on his plumbing jobs, mostly just running his van to get him tools or supplies. Brian was just a kid and actually wrote up a bill to my dad for $5 for helping with stuff. My parents have that framed and displayed in the house we grew up in. Education. Right around this time every year, you will see news stories about January 6th. Then, those events go mostly silent for the rest of the year. Governor Murphy has graciously listened to me when I suggested that in order to keep history alive, that we make January 6th part of the New Jersey state standards in high school social studies. We're currently working on that. I hope to continue that endeavor with our next governor and eventually expand that effort to other states. The atrocities of that day should not be forgotten, and we should especially always remember the heroes like Brian. Memorialization. Brian has been honored and remembered by many, as he should be. My older brother Craig and I have ridden bicycles on a 300-mile bike tour from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. to remember fallen law enforcement officers. We did it for Brian. Brian's high school, East Brunswick Votech, has erected a beautiful memorial in the school's courtyard. This memorial was constructed by hand by over 60 students. If I remember correctly, they even set it up so that the longest shadow of the year will be cast by that memorial on January 6th. At the Capitol in Washington, D.C., there is a display case remembering Brian and several other United States Capitol police officers that have died in the line of duty. It is not publicly accessible, but it is beautiful. There is also an empty wooden seat, and his locker has been encased in plexiglass in the locker room. Brian was only the 5th civilian in U.S. history to lie in honor in the rotunda at the U.S. Capitol, a tribute reserved for significant national figures for public mourning and remembrance. The New Jersey Assembly, Senate, and Governor Murphy have introduced a joint resolution designated January 30th, which is Brian's birthday, as Brian's Sicknick Day, each year in New Jersey. At the very park we've gathered here today, you will see this beautiful memorial garden and park benches. They are continually cared for by students from South River High School to honor a hometown hero. Thank you, Miss Ellen Chop and the South River Interact Club. My friends know that I have not been the same since Brian died. The same is true about my family. Trauma is psychological and biological. It's a psychological and biological response to something deeply distressing. We will never just get over it. Our minds and bodies do not forget, nor should we. But it's events and honors like today that we'll always greatly appreciate and be reminded that Brian will not be forgotten. Thank you all again for being here today.
Well done, Ken. That wasn't easy. Like every other day. I just said to Ken, I can only imagine, and that wasn't easy for him, nor is any other day over the past 5 years for any member of the family. So God bless you all. Thank you for those powerful words, Ken. With that, I'd like to welcome up another speaker. I've got two folks representing the elected officials here today. First up to bat is Middlesex County's own, I might add, a great partner in government. Please help me welcome the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin.
Good morning, everyone. What a privilege it is to be with all of you today on this very somber day. And Mr. Sicknick, it seems insignificant for me to go to follow you, but I do want to add what great privilege it was for us in the Assembly to pass that resolution commemorating Brian's birthday and his great loss. So to everyone here, thank you. As I said, it's an honor to be here, particularly true because today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. To be here in South River in Officer Sicknick's hometown, surrounded by his family and the people he loved and the people who helped shape him into the person he was, is truly special. 5 years ago, so many of us watched in shock and horror and disbelief as our nation's capital came under siege. It was an attack that more than shattered windows and broke down doors. It shook the confidence of our very nation and tested our democracy, whether it could endure the most perilous moment in a generation. It was an attack that took place without care or worry for safety of those inside, an act that disregarded a time-honored tradition, perhaps the greatest gift the United States has given to the world, the peaceful transition of power that underpins and has underpinned our republic from its earliest days. And while every American felt the weight of that day, not all losses were equal, as I'm sure I don't have to remind all of you. For some, it was the loss of confidence in institutions that seemed immovable, but for others, it was a wound to our shared belief that truth and decency could prevail. But for the family of Officer Sicknick, they felt a loss that was even deeper and more profound than any of us. Because on that day, as he defended the Capitol from rioters, they breached the entrance and ultimately attacked him, resulting in his death. Officer Sicknick was a son, a brother, and a friend to so many who I suspect are here today to remember him. A hero. You used the word hero, Mr. Sicknick. So many times we use that, we throw that around as if it's without meaning. Your brother truly was a hero in every sense of the word. And his loss reminds us that democracy asks much of those who protect it. And sometimes more than one family has to bear even more than their share. So may his memory be a reminder of the fragility of our institutions and the strength and courage of those who defend them. And so as we lay this wreath in the quiet of this beautiful park in this garden, let's reaffirm our obligation to honor Officer Sicknick, not only this moment or in ceremony, but through our defense of democracy and their ideals that he died to protect. Thank you all for letting me be with you. God bless.
Well said. God bless. Speaker, thank you for those powerful words as well. I want to ask your colleague, Assemblyman Joe Danielson, to come up and say a few words. Joe helped get this resolution through the legislature, and Joe himself is a veteran. Joe Danielson, come on down.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. I'm honored to be here and have an opportunity to speak at this event. I would like to ask Senator Dogden, Assemblyman Karabinchak, and Assemblyman Stanley to join me up here, and Senator Bramnick. Today we are remembering the U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who laid down his life 5 years ago in defending the United States Capitol on January 6th. Officer Sicknick heroically defended our nation's temple of democracy on one of its darkest days, when a mob tried to disrupt the counting of our electoral votes to subvert democracy in an insurrection that went against everything our nation stands for. Officer Sicknick and his brothers in the Capitol Police Force bravely, over 4 hours, fought to ensure that the future of our republic, of our democratic system of government, would not fall to the whims of those thugs and those monsters. And defend our republic they did. Because of the efforts of Officer Sicknick and his brother officers, the Capitol was defended. The counting of electoral votes did proceed, and the will of the American people triumphed over the whims of that mob. And for this, Officer Sicknick paid with his life, and that sacrifice is one we can never forget. And I personally ask, what does America say to his family today? And how does our country respond to his mother and his father and his brothers and his extended families? Can we tell them that we've learned, that we've repaired our country, and that we improved our country? What is God's plan for all of us? And I know from day to day, if you watch the news, it's hard to answer any of those questions. But I hope that you all will join me in taking the right step and loving and accepting our neighbors, never forgetting, exercising democratic laws, and honoring those who should be alive today. God bless Brian Sicknick, his family, those who defended our U.S. Capitol, and those who defend the United States of America.
Guys, stay up here if you could for a moment. Joe, thank you for those powerful words as well. Calling an audible. I mentioned the mayor obviously kicked us off today. Mayor, thank you again for hosting us and members of council. I mentioned a couple of times this is a bipartisan group. This is a bipartisan resolution supported by both sides of the aisle. I'm calling an audible and asking if Republican Senator and another great leader, John Bramnick, would say a few words. John?
To the Sicknick family, thank you. Brian was a hero to all of us. We are a country of laws. The minute we forget that without law and order and respect for our system of justice and our democracy, our country will fail. Those who make excuses for January 6th are wrong. If there is an issue in our country, we know where to go. We go to the courts. We respect the judiciary. To injure police officers and try to attack people who make the laws in this country is an insult to every one of us. Every one of us. Those who make excuses for January 6th should be embarrassed. There is no excuse for violence. And as a result of this violence, we lost a man of honor. And on behalf of all of us, the state of New Jersey, we thank you for Brian. God bless.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Senator. Again, powerful words. I've only got 11 days to go as governor, and I don't know how many times I've screwed the agenda up, but I skipped the national anthem, which is something we should never do. So is Michael still here to help sing it? Please, let's honor our nation with the national anthem. All right, buddy? Good to see you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the